Steamtown was founded in Vermont by F. Nelson Blount, an American businessman and railroad enthusiast. His sudden death in a plane crash was unexpected, and according to Wikipedia, without his personal funds, Steamtown fell on hard times. Nearly all of his development plans for the site in Vermont went unfulfilled, and the harsh winters helped speed deterioration of much of the collection. Steamtown moved to Scranton, Pennsylvania, on the site of the former Scranton yards of the Delaware, Lackawanna, and Western Railroad in 1984. However, soon after its relocation, it went bankrupt. In 1986, the federal government stepped in and established the Steamtown National Historic Site to save the collection. The park officially opened in 1995. The Electric City Trolley Museum is located alongside Steamtown and shares some of the right-of-way. As you enter the parking lot, the first thing you see is this Union Pacific Big Boy, number 4012, a 4884, built by Alco in 1941. Big Boys are famous as among the most powerful steam locomotives ever built. It weighs 1.2 million pounds. 4012 was part of Steamtown's original collection and went to Vermont in 1962. It's too big for the turntable and roundhouse at Steamtown, so it remains on static outdoor display. According to Wikipedia, it's thought to be in good enough shape to be restored to working order, but it's doubtful that the surrounding track infrastructure at Steamtown could support it. At least it's being taken care of. It recently underwent cosmetic restoration and was returned to its place at the museum in 2021. Despite its name, Steamtown currently has only one operational steam locomotive. It's this little 060 switcher, built by the Baldwin Locomotive Works in March 1929. The engine overhaul was completed in late 2015, and it made its official excursion service return on April 17, 2016. It pulls very short excursions on weekends. The short excursion boards at the roundhouse, zigzags out onto the main track, and then goes through the train yard and across a nearby bridge to the University of Scranton less than a mile away. As I watched the train cross the bridge, a streetcar from the Trolley Museum pulled up alongside me. Then it backs back up through the yard and works its way back to the roundhouse. The whole ride lasts about 30 minutes. Occasional longer excursions occur throughout the year. On my first visits to Steamtown in 2001, the excursions were all longer and pulled by Locomotive 3254, a 282 Mikado built in 1917 for the Canadian Government Railways. Those excursions went from Steamtown to Moscow, Pennsylvania, a distance of 10 miles as the crow flies, but considerably longer as the train winds its way through the mountains. I had given up on 8mm film by 2001, and my digital camera was very primitive. As a result, I only have this very poor quality video of 3254 in operation. According to Wikipedia, as a result of issues with either the boiler, firebox, or the frame, combined with other needed maintenance, which made further operation impractical, 3254 was withdrawn from service. The locomotive made its last run in 2012. Central to the Steamtown Museum is this roundhouse with its working turntable. The locomotives and freight cars on display haven't always been the same, but here are pictures I've taken on various visits. This 060T, built by Alco in 1927 for the E.J. Levino Steel Company, and this 040T, built by Vulcan Ironworks in 1919 for the New Haven Trap Rock Company, are both typical of saddle tank switchers that were used by industries throughout the U.S. Locomotive 426 has a familiar look as an example of the first EMD diesel switchers, but this is one of only two pre-production prototypes built in 1935. Illinois Central number 790 is a 280 consolidation built by Alco in 1903. This 060F was built by H.K. Porter in 1923 for PSE&G. It would be filled with steam from a stationary source and would operate for about 3 hours on a filling. The boxcar and hopper car look pretty new, but they were both actually built in 1919. The caboose is much newer, built in 1937. After a full day of excursion service, Engine 26 is brought into the turntable, spun around, and parked in the roundhouse. On some of my visits, I went inside the roundhouse. In 2007, 3254 was in the roundhouse being worked on, but in 2013, both it and 2317 were there on static display. There are no plans to refurbish either of them anytime soon. Here's an EMD F3A diesel locomotive. Nickel Plate Road number 759 was built by Lima in 1944. It's a 284 Berkshire. Spang Chalfont and Company locomotive number 8 is known as the cutaway steam locomotive. Areas of the boiler, steam chest, dome, and tender were selectively cut open to show how a steam locomotive generates and uses steam in motion. Apparently, like the big boy, this 484 Northern is too big for the turntable and is on display near the parking lot. It's a twin to the one we rode behind on one of my earlier videos. Originally built as a consolidation by Baldwin in 1924, it was reworked into a Northern in the Reading shops in 1947. Out in the yard, a lot of equipment is rusting away. This 262 Prairie looked bad in 2013, but it looks a lot worse now. Ironically, it was built by Baldwin in 1914 for use in logging service. Notice the tree growing out of it. Canadian National number 47, a 464T, was built by Montreal Locomotive Works in 1914. The locomotive has no tender, but a tank for water and a bin for 5 tons of coal are built into the extended frame behind the cab. It looked bad in 2007, worse in 2013, and terrible in 2024. Main Central number 519, yet another 280 consolidation, was built by Alco in 1913. It looked okay in 2001, didn't look too bad in this view in 2007, but look at it in 2024. The sign says danger, expect trains and locomotives to move in any direction at any time. I don't think so. Locomotive 15, built by Baldwin in 1916, is holding its own. Here it is in 2001, 2013, and 2024. This 260 Mogul was built by Alco in 1923. Grand Trunk Western number 6039, a 482 Mountain, was built by Baldwin in 1925. It looked pretty good in 2001, but was showing some rust in 2007. I didn't see it in 2024, but Wikipedia says that in 2023 it was on static display with very meticulous cosmetic care. Reading Company 902 and Reading Company 903 are two preserved ex-Reading Company EMD FP7s. On one of my trips, my friends and I took a tour of the shop. The locomotive shop has been restored, and it's one of the few places where a steam locomotive can be completely rebuilt. The final segment of this video comes from a visit I made to the Trolley Museum during one of my trips to Steamtown. This is the trolley stop, and here are some examples from the collection. Philadelphia Suburban Transit Company, PST, number 76, was built by Brill in 1926. We knew the PST as the Red Arrow line, which is now part of SEPTA. Car 46 is a wooden streetcar built in 1907 by the St. Louis Car Company for the Philadelphia and Western Railway, which is now known as SEPTA's Route 100. Car 401, built at the same time, is a companion work trolley. 506 was built for the Reading Transit and Light Company in 1920. Car 206 is a bullet car built by Brill in 1931 for the Philadelphia and Western, later Red Arrow, and finally SEPTA, before being retired in 1995. 8534 was built by Brill in 1926 for the Philadelphia Rapid Transit Company, predecessor to the PTC and eventually SEPTA. I rode on cars like this as a child. Although they were phased out as the newer PCC cars came into service, some still ran on the streets of Philadelphia until 1957.